Hey, welcome into the house. I'm Rudy Maxa. If you're a regular viewer, you know we do this every couple of weeks. We call it I Was Just Thinking. And this week I was just thinking about Paris. And today, instead of having a guest, we normally have a travel guest on these webinars or these webcasts. I want to tell you, I've spent 5 days roaming around Paris, and I wanted to give you sort of a letter from Paris and tell you a little about what's going on in this city, what the vibe is, how many Americans there are not here, and what I found. I did about 20,000 steps a day for several of the days I was here. So I went to a lot of places, so you don't have to. But I asked Tommy Danielson, my partner in our tour company, and the guy who actually manipulates these screens when we're doing these webcasts, to join me. So we're going to have a little discussion about Paris and tell you what you might expect now. Now, listen, if you're watching this, hi, Tommy Danielson.
Hey, Rudy, you
Uh,
lucky
let,
bastard.
let me make it clear. Tommy's coming to you from outside of Sacramento in California, so he's got nothing to complain about. Um, Even if he's not in Paris, and he had intended to have his birthday here in Paris, celebrated his birthday here in the last week, but a lot of European guests couldn't make it because of COVID regulations, which leads me to remind you that we are having this conversation on the evening of December 15th, 2021, when COVID is still very much a worldwide issue. And of course, this will be posted on YouTube and Facebook and be up there for, I don't know, 150 years or something. But you should know that COVID is an issue here. People are wearing masks all over Paris and many places, I mean, all over the world. So please keep that in context. This is December 15th, 2021, as we talk. So Tommy, I know you're supposed to be in Paris. I will tell you, you are missed. You and your fellow birthday party. I cannot believe how few people are here. I have only heard
Right,
an American accent a few times, which is unusual.
right.
And the line to see the Mona Lisa was only 15 minutes at the Louvre, which is unusual.
Right.
Musée d'Orsay, I bought advance tickets because usually there's a long line to buy tickets, and so you buy your advance tickets and you go to a special door. Could have bought them right at the door just as fast.
Right.
It
Yeah.
really, you can really feel the lack of people. Having said that, the town is bustling because it's Christmas. The decorations are up everywhere. It's a very festive feeling, but it's almost like what I was seeing on American news shows before I left. Yes, people are out buying all kinds of things and going to restaurants and so on. And then they go to a hospital where a doctor is saying, we're overflowing with COVID patients and I wish people would do vaccines and so on. Exact same news reports in France.
Right. Yeah. I think that, Americans can travel to Paris. That's not an issue. But I think that the various hoops that you have to jump through is off-putting to people, and also the knowledge of knowing what's current. You might buy a ticket today, and tomorrow the rules will change. As you know, I'm originally Norwegian, and for Norway right now, there's quarantine rules to re-enter the country, and that was the main issue for the birthday gig. And a lot of Germans also have, you have to quarantine on the way back in again. My family, some of them work in healthcare. So, but for Americans, I think that right now, what we were preparing for in Paris, and you can confirm, was when you get there, you get this, you show your vaccine card, and you need to be vaccinated in order to get into restaurants, right?
Well, here's what you need to do as an American. 24 hours before or a day before your flight, you have to take a COVID test that comes up negative. Used to be
Mhm.
72 hours. Now it's 24 hours before. I mean, it doesn't have to be exactly 24 hours, but the day before your flight, or an airline won't let you get out and even get here.
Mhm.
When you get here, you just go through immigration as usual, but you cannot go, you're correct, to a restaurant or a bar, even a cafe or a public, I mean, even sitting outside, or to any public events like a theater or even a movie, without showing a QR code that you receive by going to a pharmacy upon landing.
Right.
And there are pharmacies in De Gaulle. You may see one, depending what terminal you come in. You may find a pharmacy right there. Surely you can find them in downtown Paris or whatever French city you're going to. And most of them have the capability for about $40 to look at your US CDC vaccination card. They don't give you a test. They look at your card. You pay them $40 and they give you I should get it, I'll show it to you. They give you what the French here call, every time you enter a restaurant, is your certificate of vaccination. It looks like this. They give you a QR code.
Right. And
Now,
that way they can also track you to trace you to see if there is an outbreak. They can inform you of that. I'm sure.
But you know what I thought about just tonight, Tommy, is that when I was here several weeks ago, you could go in places just by showing your US CDC card and your driver's license or passport, because they would match the names.
Right.
They are taking this now and not looking at any of my IDs. So I could have given, I could give this to anybody and they could walk in with it.
Right.
I don't know quite how that. I don't know how that's working.
Yeah, it was also the same thing. We were in San Francisco this weekend as a substitute for the awesomeness that you're doing. We went to. I'm not going to blink San Francisco, which was actually absolutely lovely. They've the police presence have changed. So we saw 2 homeless guys the 2 days we were there. They really have stepped it up, and they also have a requirement that you have to be vaccinated to show up at restaurants. And I could have shown him my Delta Airlines boarding pass when I walked into where we had a dinner on Saturday night. He just looked at a QR code and he didn't look at anything else. And there was no check of ID. At the hotel we were staying at the Four Seasons, it was the same thing. They didn't even ask. So there are mandates, but it seems like it's a little bit relaxed in some. And as you know, there are. Things changed, and now we have a mask mandate again in California. You have to wear masks inside now, anywhere you go.
And that is the same here in France. You must wear a mask inside until you sit down to eat. Wear a mask when you go in any store, any place where people are gathered together. But as I say, I know there's no photograph associated with this. So how do they know this is, it's a little strange.
It could be whatever you want it to be. Yeah, it's
right.
It's a little bit strange, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think that it's supposed to feel off-putting, and also the European system is based on different principles and civic duty and honesty versus individual freedom. I mean, this is not to me. This is just an inconvenience that I gladly. But at the end of the day, I feel like there are penalties if you break these things that are severe. So I think that's what they're banking on in Europe, at least. So but what about the hotel? What happens there? And you're staying at a hotel where I've stayed over 30 times.
let me tell you about the hotel in just a moment. But let me just finish the rules. So so you get this QV code. And I guess we can use this for a long time. I mean, it's not just per visit. So you keep it if you're coming back to France the next few months. But then you have to, just to complete the requirements, the day before you go to board your flight to return to the United States, if you're an American traveling there, you have to show a negative COVID test.
Right.
And there are many testing places in many cities, some in pharmacies, some on the street. They've got booths on the street where they'll test you and give you an answer, a response of whether you're negative or positive in 15 minutes. But I got one of these before I left, these Binox Now COVID-19 home test kits. Now, this is not like the average home test you get in pharmacy, because you can't open it until you get over to your country. And then you open it in front of a camera on your computer, your iPad, or your phone, as somebody in India from eMed, am I pointing over here? eMed watches you. They will watch you open this. They'll watch you take out the swab. They'll watch you put the droppers in. They'll watch you swab your nose. They have to watch everything. Then you will set it down for 15 minutes. And after 15 minutes, they will ask for you to show the results to them. And they will then send you an email and a text that can, in many cases, be uploaded, like on United and Delta, to your reservation record. So when you get to the airport, it's already in your reservation record that the day before you posted negative.
Right. Well, this
is a good thing to get ahead of, but you got to buy it in the United States. You can't buy it overseas. You have to buy
I think that it has to be that Abbott one that you're doing there, because there are a lot of self-testing going on, and not a lot of them are valid.
Yeah, this is one that you can't open and do at home. You have to do it on camera. So it's good to have, though, because I'll just do it in my hotel room the day before I leave.
Very convenient.
Rather than having to look around.
Unfortunately, before, so I was in London end of November, or right before Thanksgiving, and it was such a smooth experience. And that's the way that it worked there, is that they didn't test upon arrival. This was before the Omicron variant, and they didn't test before arrival. They wanted you to test when you go back to the U.S. I looked at my watch. I stepped off the plane at 8:56 a.m. went through customs, went through passport control and then customs. And outside of customs, there was a little booth on the right where I picked up my self-test, because within 48 hours, you have to test in your hotel room when you arrive. Then I took the elevator down the basement and walked in, and they don't test the ways that a lot of people have taken tests, where they drill into your brain and it's very uncomfortable. The new tests, they don't have that anymore. You really are just putting it halfway up the nose and you're swabbing the stuff in there, 5 times on each side. And so 8:56, I was the moment I stepped off the plane. I made the 9:30. I was at Paddington at 9:46. So it was super easy and convenient. Now you have to, it's a different sort of test you have to take into the US. And so there are various things that, and that's the thing. It changes. You just got to be on it.
Right. And keeping in mind
that's what's off-putting to people.
Keep in mind that we're talking about the rules as of December 15th, 2021. But by December 25th or January 15th, they could be different. So keep on top of that. You asked about the hotels. If you give the widescreen shot to me, Tommy, you'll see these sconces, these sculptures that serve as sconces right over my shoulders there. So if you have stayed at the Park Hyatt here in Paris, you will probably recognize them. This is the Park Hyatt Vendôme, because Vendôme is the square about a block away from here, a very famous square with a statue in the center. The Ritz Hotel is there, a lot of very expensive shops. But at any rate, all the hotel rooms have these sculptures. You told me, Tommy, because you've stayed here many times. There's statues made by a French artist named Roselyne Granet, Granet, and they're in all the rooms apparently.
They're all over the hotel, and it's one of the iconic. They've made some improvements in the hotel to make it more modern, with USB ports, chargings, and new TVs and all that kind of stuff. They used to have Bang Olufsen TVs that cost like $10,000 each, but those TVs are kind of now, the way that the TVs are evolving very quickly, and also people that use the TVs in hotel room, it just doesn't seem to be as relevant anymore. But it's a gorgeous hotel and very, a stone's throw from the Ritz that was closed for 3 years for renovations. So the extensive renovation, and if you look at the rooms, it looks like Louis the 14th was he was still in there. They literally redid the room to make it look super old. It was just crazy things that what I did on a tour there. But this place,
you have a picture of the front of this hotel, don't you?
I do. You took this picture just now, and it seems that they're making things festive for the holiday. That's great.
I mean, this town is lit up for Christmas. I mean, it's unbelievable. The trees running up like soldiers along the Champs-Élysées are all festooned in red lights with white blinking lights in between. I mean, it's just beautiful. Everybody's got it's really this is the city hall. Why they decided to throw purple light on the city hall for Christmas, I don't know. But in front of the city hall.
It looks like they got the Olympic rings there too, because they're having the Olympics in a few years.
Yeah, and they've got behind, you can't see it behind, there's a little merry-go-round for kids, and they've got some, almost Christmas market little stalls selling foodstuffs and so on. But Paris is really put on the dog for Christmas. There's no question about it. And the windows of the two big department stores, Printemps and Galeries Lafayette, have all these animated full windows, and all the parents bring all their kids down to see them, and the kids love it because there are all these little animated characters running around with music and so on, and each store tries to outdo the other. So Paris is quite lovely right now, and
it always is in December. I think that people are they want to go to the Christmas markets in Austria, Switzerland, and Germany, but Paris is quite charming, and it's not as crowded as it is the rest of the year.
No, I'm surprised. There's some traffic crossing the river at night. Everybody's trying to go to the left bank for dinner or something, but other than that, I am very surprised at how easy it is to get around. How the main attractions. I mean, the Eiffel Tower again. I bought tickets for the ticket for the Eiffel Tower today. I haven't been up the Eiffel Tower in years. Swore I'd never go on it again. I've gone it up so many times, but I thought I'd do it. There's a shot. It's been very great. I've been here for 5 days, and that's what the sky's like, except for the first day.
It's Europe in the winter.
No rain, a little mist at night, but nothing that should require an umbrella. But it's been very gray and overcast. But the festivities, the decorations of the stores and on the streets, really make it feel very much like Christmas. And again, I bought tickets in advance. I bought a ticket in advance to go up the Eiffel Tower, and I didn't need to. There was no line for the
Yeah.
tickets. I couldn't believe it. I've never. And you go out on the the viewing platform. I just went to the second floor because I'm afraid of heights, so I didn't go all the way up. But you go out on the second floor, and normally you have to try to find a space between all the
Right.
people to look out. Wide open. Just walked around, shot pictures from anywhere. It really is a gorgeous, a nice time to come. It's a smart time to come. There are not many Americans here, I got to tell you. So.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And I've been there before. Yes, my brother, his wife is from France, and we've been there before off season. And there are many times you can go that it's just much better than with the crowds and everything. And people just don't think about it. For Christmas in Paris is pretty magical. It's the same way as going to London. Lots of shopping opportunities, and it's just a lot cheaper than it is in the US. And so many good deals, and no problems getting into restaurants. You went to your favorite place, Chez Dumonet, didn't you?
Chez Dumonet, Dumen, I don't know, A-T, Dumonet, Chez Dumonet. I went, and oh my God, this is not. I did not have this for dinner, but the table next to me ordered this steak that is the size of a small Texas, and as you can see, the French like their steaks rare. But I was so impressed with this hunk of steak. That's only half the steak. You can see the other half behind him. He was cutting that up at Chez Dumonet a couple of nights ago. Yeah. A lot of good food here. As always, I mean, obviously the French are known for their cuisine. And as long as you stay away from some of the touristic places. I walked around Notre Dame, and they have put along the long side of the cathedral these enormous pictures taken by a professional photographer from Magnum, the photo agency, of the restoration work that's going on. And they're enormous, almost billboard-sized photos, and a lot of them. And it's just fascinating how they have marked like every piece of charred wood they can and every brick they can that fell. Each one is marked with where they think it went and so on. So they're making some progress there. I mean, it's going to be a long time, obviously, but if you do come to see Notre Dame, you can still see the front. You can't go up close. You can't see the doors. You can see the front. And then these photographs along the side certainly attest to a very scientific approach to renovating a building that burned down partly.
Yeah, it also seemed like, so speaking of who's paying for that refurbishment, it's you went to the Louis Vuitton museum, looks like.
Yeah, look at this. Look at this. This was designed by, oh my gosh, what's his name? I just went blank on his name. He's an American. I'll look it up. I'm sorry?
Same guy who did the Guggenheim in New York, looks like.
Yeah, Frank Gehry. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's Frank Gehry. Frank Gehry designed this. Look at this design. And it was paid for largely by Yves Saint Laurent. So this is called Foundation Yves Saint Laurent Museum.
Right.
And it's just, the architecture is stunning. And inside, they used generally have modern art, but this time there's a lot of impressionists while I was in there. And again, no line to get in, no problem. First time this is my second time, but I went there when it opened, the summer after it opened, and big long lines, and this was nothing. Pulled right up, had tickets ahead of time, didn't need to do that, could have bought them right there. Right. It's in the Bois de Boulogne, the big park, the big forest almost in the middle of Paris. So there's no other buildings around it. And you go through you drive along the roads, or you take a Uber or a taxi through the forest, and then you come across this thing and you go, what the heck is that? I mean, if you don't know what it is, it looks like maybe alive and start crawling your way,
Right. And also the guys, Yves Saint Laurent and also Louis Vuitton, who it says on the front of the building there, they were the ones who paid the majority of the refurbishment of the Notre Dame.
Really? I didn't know that. I know the American government contributed, and a lot of Americans contributed. I know people all over the world have sent in money, and I'm sure they still are, but I didn't know that.
I think they were fully funded on that. So let me see how much they gave. I think it was 9 digits for sure. Let's see how much they 260 million euros. The Louis Vuitton owners, same with the Gucci owners. They also gave 260 million pounds, not euros, British pounds.
Oh my goodness!
Which for you and me is a trip to this. For them, it's like me and you going to Starbucks, right? So
right. I guess.
Well, I think the Louis Vuitton guys, now that they've merged, they've gulped up Rimowa, my favorite suitcase brand. the value of the owner is like 300 billion euros or something like that. It's a massive number. So it's like I said, it's good that they're stepping up. Yeah, it says the French Titans has pledged and donated 800 million euros in total to the refurbishment of Notre Dame.
Well, I know it's going to be an expensive process, but and I went to the Musée d'Orsay while I was here, which is my favorite place.
Yeah, let's find the pictures of
that. Was for the impression. A lot of people, but again, you didn't need to buy a ticket ahead of time. Oh, that's a classic picture. Everybody takes this picture. There's this big clock that looks out over the River Seine. But when you're up there, you can take this picture. You put somebody in front of it, or there's often people standing in front of it. And you get that great silhouette with the clock. That's a classic picture of the Musée d'Orsay. It's my favorite museum. It's a former
from the roof, right?
This is a shot from the roof, just showing you sort of how gray it was in the Seine River down there. But the Musée d'Orsay is a former train station, so it's much more manageable than the Louvre. I mean, I find the Louvre just overwhelming. You know, you could spend
people
weeks.
Don't even know what the Musée d'Orsay is, because everybody's focusing on that, and the Louvre is, I don't know what to tell you, but we were there with our tours in 2019, and it was a zoo.
It is, yeah. It wasn't too crowded, as I say. Everything sort of dimmed down, but it's such an enormous museum. You know, you just don't know where to begin or where to stop. And the Musée d'Orsay is much more manageable. Has a great impressionist collection, which folks like. You know, you'll see Starry Starry Night.
Yeah, let's look a little bit on that. Starry Starry. So that's the guy who doesn't wear his glasses when he's painting.
That's one of them. That's one of the Starry Night series. You know, there's even the Whistler's mother is there too. I think there are a couple of them in the world, but one of them is right there at the Musée d'Orsay. But it's a beautiful building. The Musée d'Orsay is, as I say, former train station that's been turned into an art gallery. So it's much more manageable. It's not as enormous as the Louvre. And there's lots of great art. As I said, the Impressionists are a favorite of everybody. And I think the museum staff got tired of telling everybody where the Impressionists were on the 5th floor, because the first time I've ever gone in there, and on the walls, big Impressionist 5th floor this way.
Right.
You used to always have to ask or study your map and see if you could figure it out. But
all right, let's see what other pictures you looked at. What do we have here?
Oh, we've got the dancers by who did that? You know, there's so many impressions they start mixing up in your mind, and I'm sure somebody right now is going, "Oh, you know who this is, Rudy? Come on." This is the dancers, are part of the dancers series. Oh, this is Degas, of course. Edgar Degas
for
painted
sure.
this, and yeah, so that's there. I mean, the riches in that museum are breathtaking. This is Still Life with a Curtain by Paul Cézanne.
Right.
A lot of Cézanne, a lot of Degas. There's Picasso. There's, you name them, they're there.
Right.
They are there.
Yeah,
Pissarro, Pissarro, and it's an embarrassment of riches.
All right, let's look a little bit about you. You said you 20,000 steps a day. So let's look at some other pictures that you took when you stay. What do we have here?
Well, this is a place that's been around for a long time now. It's called TheDrugstore. And when it opened decades ago, I remember it got huge play in the press all around the world. It was the first sort of American kind of drugstore in Paris, but it's more than a drugstore. As you can see here, there's a bar, there's a restaurant, and in this store, they sell very expensive watches, they sell prepared food to go out, they sell the normal drugstore cosmetic stuff, they sell books, they sell cigars, they sell expensive wines and champagnes. So it's open to like 2 a.m. So people flock here all the time. I didn't take shots. Well, I did take some shots, but I didn't send them to you, Tom. You have the other departments in the drugstore, but it's a very cool place to go. And it's right by the Arc de Triomphe as you go up the Champs-Élysées. It's just before you hit the Arc de Triomphe traffic circle on the left as you go slightly uphill in the Champs-Élysées. And it's a very popular place for folks.
So it's not. I don't think I've seen that you can get Dom Perignon by the glass at my local Walgreens, like the American drugstore.
No,
but
this is not an American drugstore. They borrowed the name drugstore, which made some French purists unhappy at the time, and it's just called the drugstore. And inside is you can. I really thought I could do all my Christmas shopping if I had a big enough suitcase just in this store alone.
Cool.
That it's that cleverly stocked,
But do they have Tylenol there?
They got Tylenol, but it's not a department store. I mean, it's not, it's a small stores with carefully curated books, carefully curated international magazines, carefully curated wines, and so on. But it's all under one roof in what's called a drugstore. And
So USA Today, Dom Perignon, 25-year-old Scotch, and Tylenol.
there you go.
All
Right. And other things.
And here you're having some l'escargot, I see.
Yeah, the first night I was here, I just had to have some escargot. I haven't had escargot in a long time, and I just had a taste for, garlic. So I got it in spades here. I don't remember which restaurant this was. The first night, the maitre d', the concierge at the hotel suggested it. But yeah, there's still plenty of snails here. I went for lunch on Sunday for oysters at Le Dome, which is a famous restaurant. 2 words, Le Dome, D-O-M-E, and they're famous for their oysters. I mean, you go there and you have oysters, or
is it?
These are the oysters. I got to tell you, these were the New York strip steak of oysters. I don't think I've ever had oysters as meaty and as big as these. I don't mind the small ones. I like the small ones too, but these were enormous. In fact, I couldn't finish them. I ordered a dozen. I couldn't finish them all. And that's not like me. I can normally eat a dozen oysters without blinking.
Yeah, the last time we had oysters was in Barcelona at the Hotel Arts, where you ordered a couple of dozens from the bar there.
Yeah, this is just so Le Dome's a wonderful place to go on Sunday for lunch. It's a classic French place. Again, no Americans that I could hear or see, which I was surprised at because it's a well-known restaurant. But yeah, so I had oysters, I had snails, and had the basic seafoods down. I don't know what other pictures I sent you, but you can go ahead.
Well, you sent me, and like you, I love to get fresh flowers to have on my island in the kitchen. And as you can see, I just got some tulips from Whole Foods for $15, and here they are. What are they? $6.95 for a couple dozens?
Yeah, I don't know how many are in there, but it's certainly better price than what I pay for tulips in Minnesota. I can tell you that. And until recently, I couldn't get tulips except in season in Minnesota, but apparently somebody's growing them. But
yeah, in California, we get them from. I mean, they come from Holland here. They fly in every day. There are tulips arriving from Amsterdam.
Well, these probably are there too.
I don't think that they make them here in California. We make pretty much everything here, as you know, but those things they kind of don't. And the $15 for a dozen is the price that we pay. But it varies here as well if they're available or not. Yep. But I think that this is the thing. You walk around Paris, you can, obviously you're in a hotel, you don't have a vase and all that stuff. It's a cool gig. Let's see. So you're also a tea guy. Is this this is the famous French tea brand?
This is a Mariage Ferrero Tea, and it's a very big Paris brand, very big French brand. Those are cans of loose tea behind the salesman there, but they also have boxes and boxes of tea bags in many different flavors, many different packaging. They're great gifts because they're so light to carry. I bought a bunch for Christmas gifts because they're in thin boxes. They're in thin boxes, and they, of course, weigh nothing. They're tea bags, So
and they are respectable hotels and also some airlines. I think in La Premiere with Air France they have this tea.
Wow.
They
have about 6 stores, maybe at least in Paris. Look around. There's a big store. This was a smaller store on the left bank, but I just sort of came upon. But I did a lot of shopping there. Mariage Frere is the name. Yeah.
Right. So. And then we've got you went to Chocolatiers, and they've got some. My favorite one is the Le Maison Chocolat, which is a well-known brand that you can buy here in the United States. But this looks different. This looks like very artisanal, handmade stuff.
Yeah, it is. There's an unusual amount of chocolatiers, I think, in Paris. And the last one I went to, which was yesterday, was what's his name? The chef. I just told you before we went on the air. Hang on, I'll get a box. I'll show it to you. Hang on, I'll show you a box of Mariage Ferrero tea bags as well.
Yeah, personally, the tea stuff, I like the TWG from Singapore is the one we get. But I also think that French brand, it's just not as accessible to get here in the U.S.
Right, so
here's I know that Williams-Sonoma sells it.
Here's a box of loose tea by Mariage Ferrere. There's the logo.
Do you do loose tea, or do they have the cotton bags too?
They have the cotton bags and loose. Like this is loose. The cotton bags I already have in my suitcase. And this was La Maison du Chocolat by Alain Ducasse.
Right, and exactly, that's the one. That's the one I mentioned. Yeah, that's
Yep.
widely available here in the U.S., and that's really cool that you can get it like that. Like I've never seen that before. You know, they sell it at Harrods in London.
Right.
I was just about to buy some of it. That's a hardcore brand. That's like one of
It's
the
a
best
big box.
chocolates in the world.
Yeah, yeah, plenty of chocolate in Paris. You know, along with the usual croissants and
Yeah,
chocolate
but I
croissants.
think that compared to the Belgian guys with the Neuhaus and those guys, the only ones that can make it with the big guys is the Maison de Chocolat that you have there, and this is from their store.
Yeah, little store over on the left bank, and
Very
I
cool.
just came upon it. Didn't know it was there. I knew Alan Ducasse made chocolate, but I didn't know he made so many different kinds, which were on
That's
offer at
fantastic.
this store. So I was a
So they
lucky guy.
picked it for you and put it in a box, or did you get a box?
No, they had these boxes open to look at, let me see if I can show it to you. I'll take the ribbon off here. If I could do this without dumping out the chocolates.
But you could probably buy one of the ones in front there, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can buy them individually as well. If you take the picture off there, you'll see this more, Tommy.
Right.
Or
Hang
give
on.
me a wider
All right.
screen. I don't want to dump them out.
Yeah. That's
There's a
usually
lot
the
of
way they
chocolates in
come.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the way it come.
Yeah. Oh my
Only
gosh.
dark chocolate for you?
Yeah. Oh, it's all dark chocolate. This box is all dark chocolate.
You don't like the milk chocolate?
I don't like milk chocolate. No.
Hmm.
I mean, I'll eat it, but I'm not nuts about it. I prefer dark chocolate. So
Yeah.
I'm going down tomorrow to near Bordeaux to see my daughter, her husband, and my two little granddaughters, and I'll be taking this along as a gift. So it won't last long. I
Are
fear.
you taking a TGV?
I'm taking the high speed train, the TGV, to Bordeaux. Yes, early tomorrow afternoon. Yeah.
And that's so fast. It's like 2 hours, right?
Right.
All right. I've got a couple more pictures you sent me here. So this is dessert.
This is dessert at L'Atelier by Joel Robuchon, where I had dinner with a friend, and it only cost 500 francs, 500 euros, which is about 500.
You wish it was 500 francs.
Yeah, I wish it were 500 francs. Yeah, this was just a dessert. I love this plate with the hands on the plate.
Right.
That's a bowl. So that's a glass bowl sitting on a plate with these open hands. Very, very attractive. Yeah, that was a very good dinner. You know, Joel Robuchon before his death had more Michelin stars, 32 Michelin stars, but of course he had restaurants all over the place. So
right. And
collected.
this is a lunch place, and it's a typical Paris place where you pay 15 euros for a 3-course meal.
Exactly. This was just walking through a neighborhood not far from the Rodin Museum, and I mean, I didn't know anything about the reputation of this place, but it was, very family run. Everybody inside was French from the neighborhood. It's a neighborhood place, and you'll find them all over Paris if you've never been here. And look for where the French are eating and go in and eat, and you'll be fine. But stay away from these
just
places that
stay
are
away
right
from the tourist
alongside.
areas.
Yeah, but there are places that are serving food, right alongside of Notre Dame, and don't go to those. Those are so touristic. They're giving you croque monsieurs and croque madames, and that's about all. So
no, they have up in behind. That's definitely the area not to go. Like behind the Sacré-Cœur, they have all those restaurants behind there where all the tourists go after they climb to the top there, and they go right behind it. That's the short. As long as you stay away from big tourist attractions, 5 blocks away from tourist attractions, you're golden. And it's really hard to not find good food.
Agreed.
All right, so wrapping it up, I got the last picture of the day. Is this your travel companion that you have right there?
No, she is not. This is at probably one of the old. Well, not probably. It is one of the oldest cafes in Paris, Café de Flore, which is famous because at the turn of the century, guys like Hemingway and Jean-Paul Sartre and the list goes on and on, would sit there and nurse a cup of coffee and argue politics and literature forever with Hemingway, guys like that. And I was going there. I've never eaten there, and it's very famous. I thought it's so famous, I don't want to eat there. And I walked by and I saw this woman with these profiteroles on the plate here. And I thought, what a great picture. I said, can I take a picture of you? And she said, yes. I don't know who she is. I don't know anything about her. So I plead innocent
she's
here.
She's got some nice profiteroles there, that's for sure.
Right. And she was very nice to let me take this picture. And I did wind up eating there, not near her. I went inside, but behind glass so I could watch people on the street. She's actually eating outside in the street. So you see, it's not that cold because she doesn't have her coat on. But anyway, yeah, I thought that was a nice picture with the attractive French woman and the profiteroles there, and some looks like a couple of cappuccinos on the table.
So you didn't exchange any Hemingway stories with her?
I didn't exchange any Hemingway stories or any phone numbers or anything. No, no. Sigh,
Oh my
sigh, sigh.
goodness, you're losing it. That surprises the hell out of me because
I
you're the
know, I
king
know.
of getting phone numbers for sure.
She didn't need. She seemed pretty happy without like an altacocker like me to hanging around her. So anyway,
Yeah, I think
so
that
that's it. That's the
maybe
Paris
20
report.
years ago.
That's the Paris report. Come,
Yeah, that's
and maybe
you're the
next year
one lucky
between.
dog that you get to be there. It looks absolutely amazing, and without the crowds, that's just an extra bonus for sure.
And in my newsletter, by the way, that comes out today, I write about this discount French airline called French BEE, that I took for the first time out of Newark. You can fly as little as $180 nonstop one way from Newark to Paris on French B, depending on when you're booking. They only
Right.
fly 3 or 4 days a week. They'll start 5 days a week in the spring. But if you don't get my read about it in the newsletter, it doesn't cost anything to get my newsletter. Just go to maxatours.com/newsletter. Put in your name and your email and you get it. No advertising. It's every 2 weeks. And I talk about my trips and restaurants I've found, or in this case, sort of the good and the bad of this particular French carrier called French B that you ought to know about if you want to get to Paris on a budget.
Right. So, and also they got brand new Airbus 350s. That's
They
their
do.
fleet.
They do. And I flew their equivalent of business class. It's not lie flat seats in their own. And I'll tell you, I mean, the only bad part of about a flight is the seats go back quite a bit, which is great news unless the guy in front of you puts his or her seat back quite a bit. And I mean, it is like right up. When the seat came back, I almost got hit in the head. So it's not the most luxurious of flying. They pack more coach seats in than most other owners of the same aircraft, or companies that fly those aircraft. But anyway, read the piece in the newsletter, maxatours.com/newsletter, sign up for it, and you'll see my piece. But do it today because the mail's going out any minute. So
Yeah.
thank you, Tommy.
Yeah, no, this recording will be, there's going to be a link in your newsletter to this, and we'll make sure that that it goes out right after we're done. Yeah, thanks so much for sharing your Paris experience. If you want to wrap it up, I'll skedaddle out of here back to my Northern California and 40 degrees weather kind of life.
Okay. Thanks for talking
Cheers.
to me, and a bientôt from Paris. Bye-bye.
Giddy up.
Take it.